DC, tell us the craziest story that you got from your prison experience.
I think the craziest story that I remember is when I was sent to Camp J. Never had an experience like that in my life.
I bet.
Never. And so that was the first time I ever witnessed people actually throwing feces on each other, right? And so, it's crazy because these guys, they sit in the cell 23 hours a day, and sometimes they'll start to make up stuff. Like a guy asked me one time, he said, man, who you think gonna win the Super Bowl? I don't even watch football. So I said, the Cowboys. Oh, mother, you I could curse?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you hating. You hating, motherfucker, I got something for you. Someone like I got something for you. So I kind of got spooked because, I know they throw shit, right? And so he come out the cell and he got a bottle with some shit in it.
God damn.
And he's standing in front of my cell and he's like, man, I'm
gonna shit you down.
I'm gonna shit you down. I said, bro, hold up.
That's one hardcore Giants fan.
I said, hold up, bro. I said, man, if you throw that shit in this cell, I swear, I'm gonna burn you up in that. And I had a look in it must have been a look in my face when I told him that. I said, man, if you throw that shit in this cell, I promise you, I'm gonna set you on fire in that cell.
You said don't bring shit to a firefight, player.
And he looked at me and he said, I'm gonna let you slide this time.
Was he old?
Yeah, he was old.
Old school cat. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you slide this time. And
he
just
thought
don't
about
know.
it.
Man, I was praying to God, Lord, thank you so much. Real, man, that was crazy. That was wild, man. I never had experience.
How much time had you been? How long had you been in prison? Whenever the first interaction with old shit bandit came to?
Oh man, I think I had been there I had been in Angola maybe about 3.5, 4 years when that incident happened.
But you went to lockdown and that's when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, them shit bands are wild, boy. Hey, what about the dart ones? The dudes that are making dart.
Look, I done seen it all, man. Look,
they mixing it with pee.
They would take it and let it sit and shit and marinate.
Yeah.
They let it marinate and then shoot.
Like an old school poison dart.
Right. They take paper clips and they make darts and they make blowguns and they'll catch it. They'll be creeped out like they're in the jungle underneath the bed waiting for a motherfucker.
Some Crocodile Dundee stuff.
Feet to come by.
Oh man, look! You should have seen. One of them got the warden.
I believe
Shit
it.
her down. I'm talking about threw shit all in her face, all in her mouth, man.
So what's up? Like, I guess like when you get locked down, you get a little crazy, and then all you have is your hands and your shit.
That's it. That's it. In your mouth. A lot of times
can't eat it.
Bar fighting.
Yeah.
Well, so like in extended lockdown, it's a tier, right? So you walk down and you got cells all along. They're separated, right? So you got bars in the front of it. Everybody's bored. There's nothing to do, so they just get up in the morning with bullshit on their mind. They're like, let me see what I can mess with today. Say, cell 12.
Man,
cell 12.
I had your mom up in here last night, huh?
Yeah. You for me. Stuff like that, bro. They try to.
You're playing like Battleship, but like with shit talking to people in shells.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They try to get you out there too.
Yeah.
Like
so
your name's Scott. Say, Lucille. Lucille, I know you hear me calling you down there, pretty head.
So what y'all hollering back to?
Well, no.
Like,
So they want to get a rise out of you. So when it's time to go to the shower, they can. When you come out, they piss you off. Sometimes they want to fight you. They want to see if they can get you out there. So when they like, be ready when them bars crack back, they try to get you in the shower. Right. You know what I'm saying? Fight you, whatever.
Yeah.
Stab you. Yeah. They wild, man.
Well,
dudes have nothing. If you ain't on no positive stuff, you just back there trying to figure out ways to pass time, and that's one of them.
And then sometimes, sometimes like the way Camp J used to be, you couldn't even be positive. You had to turn into an animal.
Yeah.
You had to turn into an
Imagine preaching on a tier in Camp J.
They used to run them too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be a lion so you can really be the lamb that you're meant to be. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck it, gotta go wild here real quick.
That's right. That's right.
Well, good deal. This is Scott with Penitentiaries to Penthouses. On my left, I got your best friend in real estate.
For all your real estate needs.
What else do you do, Scott?
We buy dumps for the most part. If you or anybody you know have a distressed property, we would love nothing more than an opportunity to have a conversation, scoop it up under you, rehab it, and then sell it. Get in touch with us.
And we want to replace the roof on it as well.
Also, if you have any roof needs, missing shingles, insurance claims, we got you.
In front of us, we got the legendary Ronald Reynolds.
DC Reynolds.
DC Reynolds. Tell us how you got your nickname, DC, since you're from New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans out the Callio Project, man.
Uh-oh.
I was so bad growing up, and my mind was like, you know what? I got to get you out of here. I got to get you out of New Orleans before the streets take you.
So that's why you got the DC?
That's how I got to
Who lived in DC?
Nobody.
It's like a Fresh Prince of
So she
Bel-Air
just sent
situation.
you on your way.
We packed up.
Oh, she went with you.
Yeah.
She said, I got to get this kid up out of here
Yeah.
before he joins the No Limit Soldiers.
And took me away from my girlfriend.
That's
So
what
y'all can't see
happened.
it. Tell her, before we get into all the details, tell everybody who this pretty lady is and how long y'all been knowing each other and why she's sitting there.
That's my wife, Tayari. You know, when we met, she was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was 13.
Got you a younger one. I'm mine.
Her brother and my little cousin was best friends. And so I seen her one day out there with my little cousin and her brother. I told my cousin, I said, man, go tell that girl I like her.
Shout out. That's the old school text message right there. Go tell her.
And she been my girlfriend ever since then, man. And so,
Hey, speaking to
yeah, she been my girlfriend ever since then. So when my mom took me away, you know, she took me away from my girlfriend.
Dang.
But I would,
y'all kind of, y'all's hearts left with each other, but it came back.
right. I mean, I would come back to New Orleans, and you know, when I come back, we'll hook up.
Link up.
Yeah.
Good. So you was getting in a lot of trouble in the city.
Yo, isn't
Cali.
DC rowdy though? Isn't
Bro,
DC
DC
pretty
is kinda
rowdy?
rowdy.
Yeah, but we was like right on the outskirts. We was in Alexandria, Virginia, which is like right.
I used to
over
go
the
back
bridge.
and forth over there. Alexandria is a suburb in Virginia of DC.
Right.
So how old were you when you went to DC? 12?
I was about 14.
14.
About 14.
So you had 2 years with your love.
Yeah.
All right. And then you moved to DC. So tell us about life in DC.
Oh, it was lovely, man. I loved it. You know, I was going to school. I was in trade school. I had a job. I bought my own car. It was fantastic.
What kind of trade?
Carpentry.
Okay.
And so it was where I was at in Alexandria, Virginia. It was kind of slower than New Orleans, obviously. And so I just loved it. I thrived, man. Everything was different. It was a different setting, different people. So my life just took a major transition from that point
For like in the right direction?
in the right direction.
Well, that's good. So what so how did you get tangled up in New Orleans and ultimately, wound up going to prison? What happened?
Yeah, my mom was in a bad relationship, and so
So you grew up and your biological father wasn't in the picture?
no, he wasn't there.
Okay, gotcha.
And so she was with this guy for maybe like 5 or 6 years, and so it just wasn't right. I didn't want them together, right? Mm-hmm. And so,
I understand.
Yeah.
When my stepdad first came on the scene, he's a great guy, but I busted his balls for years because at the end of the day, I think every kid longs for their biological parent.
right?
They want the mom and the dad to be together, and they act out.
Yeah, and so,
I get that feeling.
yeah, it just didn't. I didn't want him there, and so him and my mom got into this fight, and so consequently after that, my mom passed, and so when she passed, I just went berserk. I kind of.
How old were you?
I was 17.
17?
Yeah.
So you didn't stay in D.C., I would imagine.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I came to New Orleans for the Mardi Gras.
Got to.
Mardi Gras.
It'll bring you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you came down here on a visit.
I came down here for a visit.
Did
for
you link
Mardi
up with?
Gras. Sure did.
Always.
I came from California.
Sure did.
You was living in Cali? Oakland?
Hey.
West Side.
Oh, there
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all linked up at Mardi Gras.
Right.
What happened?
Well, she was telling me, look, don't do nothing. Just wait on me, because they used to call us Bonnie and Clyde, for real.
Y'all look like Bonnie and Clyde. Y'all actually staying kind of close to the Texas border too. Where y'all live at now? Alec?
Yeah.
They call it Illick.
My
Illick.
bad.
Illick, Louisiana. Alexandria. But
Yeah, and so,
where did Bonnie and Clyde get him to Lake Charles?
I don't know, man.
I sell real estate.
yeah, and so she was like, man, I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't. I wasn't listening. I was mad. And so,
What you mean? Don't do nothing.
because I told her, I told her what I was gonna do.
Oh, to dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was like, "Don't do that. I'm telling you, you're gonna get in trouble." I wasn't having it.
Wait for me.
Yeah, right.
Like coming from California, you were on your way.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I flew from California.
And old dude lived in New Orleans.
Right.
Yes.
And y'all were, and this was Mardi Gras too? So this shit's going crazy in the streets too.
Right.
It's like a full moon, but for wild shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so she's like, wait for me, and there we go right now. And then you just were like, it's got to happen.
Yep. That happened. And when she got here, I told her, well, it's over with. Look, I want you to do me a favor. Go get your stuff. We going back to D.C. All right. So
What was the, before we get into that, what was the, if you don't mind sharing, you don't have to if you don't want to, but like the animosity there to get rid of them?
Yeah, I blamed him for the death of my mother. You know, I believe that your words can kill a person. I believe that.
Yeah.
And so he went to the hospital and he told my mom, because I had put him out.
Kicked him out of your mom's house.
Kicked him out, get out. So he go to the hospital, he tell my mom, look, the little N put me out. I haven't used that word since then.
Really?
Yep. He said the little N put me out. So my mom tell him, look, I'm going to deal with it. I'm coming home. I'll be home, next week. You heard what I said? I said, little N put me out. Bitch, where I'm going to stay? And so
this is why she's in the hospital, on her deathbed, kind of.
Well, actually, she was scheduled to be discharged from the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was scheduled to be discharged. And he told my mom, he said, bitch, I hope you die. And the next day she died. And so when I found out, I blamed him for it. I called him, I tried to talk to him, reason with him. I wouldn't have killed him. You know what I'm saying? If you'd have said, man, look, I was drunk, or, this was going on, I wouldn't have did that. I'd have beat the shit out of him. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I would have whipped his ass.
Understandably.
And so he told me, man, look, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your mom. Yeah. Yeah, fuck your dead mom. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
And so I came to New Orleans for the Mardi Gras. Actually, he was nowhere on my mind. He was like in the back of my mind. And so I wasn't like thinking about him at the time, but I had seen him.
Wasn't priority number one, but then it's like.
Yeah. And so when I seen him, I told Tayari, I'm like, I'm going to get this fool. So no, don't, just wait on me. Don't do that. I seen him the next day. And
split decision.
Yep. And the next thing about it, it's crazy too, because I was arrested in Alexandria, Virginia, and I was extradited back to New Orleans. And so this was the first person to come to the jail and see me, the first person to put money on my books, right? And so throughout the course of all the hearings prior to trial, they had offered me 5 years on a charge.
And what I say?
Man, take them 5 years. Take them. I'm like, man.
He was hard-headed.
I'm going to beat this shit. And I went to trial and got found guilty and was sentenced to life.
And what happened? What happened in court when you got sentenced?
Oh, yeah. Look, man, the jury came back and said guilty. She hollering. She's crying loud. And I'm like, God, man. And so she asked the judge, said, Yana, you mind if I can talk to him for a while? And so the judge let her come back there and we talked. And it was crazy, man. But she had told me to take the 5 years, but I didn't.
Was somebody like advising you, like, man, we could do this? Or was it just like your own thought?
What made you think that you were going to beat it? Attorney?
Yeah, my attorney, he did. He was like, man, look, they don't have nothing on you, but they want to offer you 5 years. And I'm like, well, if they don't have nothing on me, why do you offer me 5 years? I ain't taking it. I'm going to trial.
You regret that?
No.
So what was the sentence though? So 5 versus what you got? What'd you get?
Life without
parole. Shit. Okay. Yeah. I would have been like, money now.
Yeah. Well, and that's just the way the system goes, though. I mean, theoretically, looking back, yes, if you wanted your freedom at the time, you should have taken that 5 years. But I can understand also being in that process, because I've been there before, when you're like,
you're a gambling man, you know.
But you know what? I had already been incarcerated 2 years.
Really? So you would have been released.
2.5 back then. You only had to do half.
Yeah, I had 6 months left.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
Well, so apparently, God had a different path for you.
Absolutely.
Because I don't believe that anything happens not for a reason. So, unfortunately, you left the love of your life for a long time. But I believe probably maybe that prison sentence transformed you into who you are today. So, what year did you wind up taking that time?
Well, yeah, I was convicted.
Yeah.
93.
93.
I was arrested in 91.
So, you got convicted in 93, so they sent you straight to Angola?
Yep.
Straight to Angola, baby.
What was that like too? So whenever they told you she yells, y'all talk, and then what, they take you immediately from there, they put you like you're on your way?
No, you have to once you get convicted, they have like in Orleans Parish, they have a tier where people who after they go to trial, post trial, they'll put you on a different tier. And so they'll hold you up there for a few weeks, and then they'll transfer you to Hunts to be processed. From Hunts, you go whatever your destination is. And so obviously at that time, if you had life or if you had a virtual life sentence, you was going to Angola.
Yep. That's where they sent all the long-term guys. What was it like? Now let me ask you this. Prior to going, did you hear a bunch of war stories about Angola?
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
What was in your head? You were young, too.
I was young, but I was already crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I had already transformed in the parish jail because at that time,
OPP's violent place.
Oh, man.
That was the old jail, too.
Yeah.
That's the one they used to sneak out of, get on bourbon at night, get Popeyes and pistols, and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so OPP, you know, it already had a reputation. And so I would be lying if I tell you I wasn't scared when I went to OPP.
I bet.
I was scared when I got in the police car.
Yeah.
Right. And so once I got there, you know, I realized, you know, I'm gonna leave this jail or this prison the same way I went in. Right. And so that means transforming. And so that's why I got in the drama club too. I learned that ability real well, how to transform. And so sometimes you just got to transform. You got to take on a character and a personality sometimes that may not necessarily be you, but is in you. You see? And so that's what I did, and that's how I survived, because I was in a parish. She came to visit me one day. I was on lockdown. I had to beat a dude in the head with a mop wringer.
You got to sometimes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, people in the outside world, when you say stuff like that, they don't get it because they've never had to be a gladiator, become an animal. Because that's essentially like you're adapting to your environment. Dudes in there have an animalistic mindset because it's kill or be killed.
Yeah, get ran over.
Yeah, so it's like everything's about weakness and strength in there. Right. And, you know, if you're not a person who's going to submit to another man, you just got to do what you got to do. Yep. So when you say things like hit people with a mop ring, the outside world will be like, a mop ring, he's violent. No,
yeah, let's talk about what a mop ring actually is, though. What is a mop ring? Is that just a mop?
Yeah. No.
The ring. And, you know, this was in the 90s.
So the yellow thing.
No, it wasn't yellow at that time.
Are you talking about the pole in there?
No, I'm talking about the whole mop ringer.
Oh, yeah.
But, you
like
know.
the thing from detention
that pulls
back
out?
in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had the whole ringer.
Yeah.
And at that time, they was made out of steel at that time. They didn't have the plastic ones.
Okay.
You're thinking about the yellow ones.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the yellow ones.
Yeah,
that's back when they made the good mop ringers. You know what I mean? The good hit a motherfucker ringers right there. That's pretty good. I like.
But
that.
like the other part of that is like that sounds maybe bad. I don't think it's bad because I've did stuff like that before too. But like it's either you hit them with the mop ringer or you get hit with a knife.
Right.
The option for me is hit them with whatever you got around you, because especially at that time, with how bloody the prison system at large was, the chances of you getting stabbed in an altercation were very high.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you got to do damage before you get damaged.
Yeah, for sure. And then you stop future damage, too. I think like a lot of people, because I've never been in, but like on the outskirts, sometimes people just assume that it's like one big-ass recess, you know? Like everybody's just chilling and then like getting 3 square meals a day and then that's it. So like it's good to educate the public on like shit that you have to go through, because like you're legit like almost every single day. Like you have to be ready, like back up against the wall, mop ringer in hand if it like calls for that situation. So like a lot of people just don't really realize like what.
Tell everybody how
life is
OPP was.
And OPP was it was
And
awesome.
that stands for Orleans Parish Prison.
Yeah, OPP. I think they had seven cells on a tier on each side. They had 4 people to a cell, and it was crazy, man. It was crazy because in New Orleans, they have wards: 3rd ward, 5th ward, 10th ward, these different wards, and so they would just put guys in there who may have been beefing on the street.
Yeah.
Right, and so a guy may come up there who killed another person's partner or his brother, and so I mean, they fight every day, every single day.
Rec call.
Every day is a fight. It's a fight if you get your tray, I get my tray. Count your meats. Count the pieces of sausage you have in your beans. I got 7, and he put 4 on my plate. He fucking with me. Yeah,
he hating on me.
Yep.
And then, did you have like PTSD when you got the state penitentiary from hearing slides? You know how like when you're on the slides and the fight kicks off, you hear that squeaky.
Yeah, right.
When I got to the state prison, it don't happen as often as it does in the parish prison. Those squeaky fights. So every time I heard somebody's slipper squeaking, I'm doing like this, like because you never know what's about to. Somebody's either about to tee off on you or they get in a fight, stuff like that. Dude, it took me months to shake that little noise syndrome that I had going on, because every time I heard that squeak, I would jump.
You know what it took me a while to stop doing? When I get ready to take a shit, take one pass leg off.
I did that too. Well,
so you can be ready. That's what that move is.
Yeah, you gotta be. That's when somebody gonna get you.
Just making sure. What about kneeling to pee? What's that about? Is that a thing?
Kneeling?
I don't know. Somebody
sitting.
I don't know.
Sitting to piss.
Somebody was like, "This is what it's like." Things that you can't like shake, and the guy was like kneeling, like just like on one knee, just kind of like Tim Tebowing while he peed. I don't know. Internet's crazy. Omit that.
That must be some New Zealand prison shit. I ain't never heard that.
They're probably like, Scott's stupid. Just send him something.
No, you know what? It meant maybe the red hats back way back, because they had a hole in the ground. They didn't have toilets.
Yeah, that might have been like some 1800 prison system stuff. You might be on to something. We just don't know about it.
I'm on that new stuff, y'all. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's go.
No, but it is amazing how different the parish prison is from the state penitentiary. Yeah. Even though Angola, when you went, was a bloody place, it's still more respect. These youngsters, especially now, man, the youngsters in the parish prisons now, they're out their minds. They make you want to kill them because they don't have no respect. And prison is a place that's all about respect. Yep. And if you ain't getting it, you're getting it took. You know what I mean? So tell us about Angola, man. Tell us how it was and when you decided to make your transformation and what you did while you were there. I know what you did while you were there because I was involved with it, but I want you to tell the people.
Well, like I said, I transformed, but that crazy person who I exhibited every now and then, that wasn't really who I am. And so, I always knew that I wanted to learn. And so, what I did, I got involved with the organizations, the clubs, became club president.
What clubs were you in?
I was in the drama club. I was in substance abuse. I was in Alcoholic Anonymous. I was in Angola Special City.
You a friend of Bill?
I was in the Lifers.
Are you a friend of Bill Wilson?
No.
Bill W?
Yeah. I was in the Lifers. I was in almost every club up there. And so I started I got in GED school. Got my GED in like 3 months. And got in Votech school, got my finished carpentry. Then I started taking college courses from LSU in psychology. And then they offered the sign language program. And I got involved in that. And I realized I liked it.
Yeah. Well, I remember coming from Rayburn, you had the one person at each prison that was that was really good.
Yeah. So,
and I remember everybody talking, ranting and raving about how good you were at sign language.
Yeah.
And then you went on vacation for a little bit.
Went on lockdown.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say it. You went on vacation for a little bit. But you come out, and you was doing it again. But that never took away from the talent. And apparently you kept abreast of it while you were in lockdown because you came out and you still
I used to sign to myself. I used to sign in my head.
I know. I did the same thing. I used to when I was practicing before I got proficient, that's all I did was sign. I put headphones on. And I had these these sermons from Bethany World Prayer Center, the church, and I would listen to Jonathan Stockstill preach, and I would, the little magnet mirrors. You can't. I mean, they're not mirrors. I had about 20 of them, and I would put them on my locker, and I had my headphones there, and I just signed them myself. Yeah. And then, as time went on, I got to hang around with the deaf guys, and that kind of molded my language. But yeah, dude, if you got it, you obviously had it like I had it. It's addictive, dude. You become strung out on it.
Yep.
Your whole day is spent trying to figure out signs.
Yep.
Learning hand modality. Trying to, your hand-eye coordination has to be on point to do sign language. Right. So you're constantly trying to figure out the shape of the sign, how to do it right, asking it, is this right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I got involved in the sign language, and so before I left the prison, another thing that I was doing, I think the two most important things that I did was hospice and sign language.
Yeah, that hospice program. You were in that?
I was in hospice.
Tell us about that.
It's a real interesting process to witness a person make the transition from life to death. It's interesting, man.
Tell us about it.
One guy, the first guy who I was a volunteer. We are basically the caregivers because I don't know about other prisons, but I know in Angola, the stuff that the nurses and the other people are supposed to do, they don't do it. The inmates have to do it. We have to take care of each other. And so I used to ask myself this question because I had life without parole. Mm-hmm. If I was to get sick and I needed somebody to take care of me, right? I wanted to set a mark where people can see, the level of care that I gave and say, well, you know what, if that happens to him, I'm going to, reciprocate.
Right.
And so I'm talking about wiping the guys' butts, giving them baths in the showers, and think about it. I'm in prison. And
that's a no-no on the dormitory side.
Right.
It's fine in the house. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? You
have to transition from that thinking, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but just being out with this guy and watching him take his last breath, and then after he passed, cleaning his body up, washing his body, putting a tag on his toe, putting him in the bag, zipping him up, putting him in the morgue, and then
so like full process here,
the whole process, and then the next day, if don't nobody claim his body, bringing him to Point Lookout and putting him in the ground.
So these people are dying from old age. They're just dying from what,
disease, old age. What all have you seen as far as death is going on over there?
A lot of it was cirrhosis of the liver from hepatitis C.
Yep.
That was at that time that was the most prevalent thing, and then at one point it was HIV and AIDS. They had a lot of people dying from that at some point. But after that, right before I left, the primary cause of that was cancer.
Cancer.
I was gone. Yeah, I was gone. I don't know. I was gone right when COVID set in.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. So yeah, cancer's so prevalent, man, and those guys aren't getting the treatment that they need to stay alive. And that was, dude. I'll be honest. Maybe you experienced the same. One of my biggest fears while I was in prison was if something happens to me medically, this is where I'll die because I won't get the treatment. And that's an eerie thought, because anything can happen. You could wake up and get jugged in your bed.
Right.
And get hit in the organ and then, suffer for your life, and you're not going to get the medical attention that you need. Or you could catch a disease or sickness or something, and you're not gonna get adequate care. You're going to get the bare minimum, and you might make it and you might not. I watched so many people die next to me that I just would wake up next to one day, and the next day they're gone because they got hauled out to the infirmary for some ailment or getting stabbed, whatever, and you get numb, desensitized to death. Yeah,
I know, because the first time I witnessed a person dying, it kind of affected me, but after that,
you just it's like oh, another one.
Yeah, and part of the training is learning how to disconnect.
Yeah,
vicarious trauma.
Yeah.
So what you're like, and how long was it the first time that someone, I guess, left us or left you? How long were you, taking care of them before they passed?
Oh, the first person who passed, I think, maybe 2.5, 3 months.
Okay, so this is gonna sound insensitive, but does it leave you empty, almost like your favorite TV show ending, and you're just kind of like, what next kind of a situation? Or are you questioning like life, I guess, whenever someone's dying? Like, how did you feel about that? Like, and I'm just curious just for me, you know, like seeing someone die in front of you like that, like just perish off.
Yeah, and like I said, the first time it was mind blowing. And it took me some time to get over it because I had became close to this guy.
Yep.
You know, I'm sitting with him all night long. You know what I'm saying? Fixing his food, putting ice in his mouth when his mouth get dry. And so I was with him all night long. And so when he died, it kind of messed me up. But then after that, I learned that I can't allow that
to take it personal or
Exactly.
that emotional attachment. Give great service, give great care, but don't let it.
And then I think the most important thing that I learned was that we're not here to stay.
Yeah.
Right. And so knowing that, now I have had the opportunity to see it transpire, the whole process. You know, like one guy, he would not die until his mother came and visited him. His mother came and visited him. She left that night. He laying in the bed. He was asleep. I thought he was asleep. And he just sat up and took a deep breath. Went back down, flatline.
Like jumping in a pool.
Wow. That's crazy how that works, dude.
Yep.
Wow. So hospice. You know what always boggles me? I know about these hospice programs in the prisons, so I'm speaking from that knowledge. And then also I've seen the documentary with the hospice program. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah. I'm sure they showed it to y'all, right?
Yeah.
So they let you guys in general, because I don't think Louisiana is exclusive to the hospice program. I think it's kind of wildfire to other prisons in other states. But all the care that you provided to these guys, and you and many other people, hundreds of other people, and you come home and you try to get a job at a hospital or doing this, because essentially what you're doing is CNA work,
right,
or medical assistant work,
right.
All right. And then when you come home, you can't get a job doing that same thing. And I can promise you $100,000 that you'd be, or anybody in your position would be better at that job than anybody that they have there now that hadn't come out of the prison. Same thing with the California and the guys there that are firefighters. Mm-hmm. You know, they use the inmates to do firefighting because of all the wildfires. Now, these guys are freaking saving the state. But yet when they come home, they can't get jobs as firefighters.
Right.
Like
you tell me how
experience, and you're
tell
like,
me how much
do this.
sense that makes that you allow people to do these things in a prison, but when they come home, they have to fight for employment.
Right.
That stuff irks me. Yeah. If you get a trade, the prison system is ran by people who are living there. It's not ran by the warden or the deputy warden or the sergeant or the lieutenant or the corporal. The prisoners run them jails.
That's right.
And it's such a task to get gainful employment when you come home. That's a random one. I'm sorry.
But do you think that that's probably like you know how we were talking about the school to prison pipeline type of situation? Like maybe it's made more difficult because they need you back in. They're like, bro, we're losing a good one. DC, where you going, bro? Can't even go to Baskin Robbins. Come back here.
You know like what? It used to be that way. It used to be because they were supposed to have an interpreter to come in Angola and interpret for the deaf when they had the large deaf population.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had put in for the police barracks.
Right. They wanted to keep you there because you was...
No, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
I already know. Look, and I ain't going into a whole lot of detail, and I've talked to you about this. For years, I tried to get the Department of Correction to do the right thing by the deaf guys. And the guy who was running the program. And basically, in a nutshell, what they said was, what I gathered from them is, we're going to do what we want, and this is what we want to do. We're going to spend our money everywhere else. We're going to hire all these people for headquarters and all this administrative overhead. But the deaf guys and the people who need communication access, well, they're last on the totem pole. They had attorneys, nonprofit organizations, all these people writing. The National Association for the Deaf, Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, Louisiana Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, Louisiana Association for the Deaf, HERD, helping educate to advance the rights for the deaf, and 100 different cross-disability organizations telling Department of Corrections, you need to get hired certified interpreters to come in this prison to interpret for these guys for medical, psych, things like that. Now, everyday classroom stuff, that's fine. And teaching sign language is the greatest thing that you can do in prison.
Right.
And giving them a skill to come home to, like we did. But, like, in the capacity of private information, what if one of them guys got AIDS? You think he wants the whole inmate? And interpreters that are in prison, they're not bound by any code of ethics. So if I was a malicious person and a deaf person told me that they have AIDS or hepatitis or some ailment or some personal information, what holds me liable for not spreading that information?
Right.
And so that's what I always advocated for. It was always told to guys up at the prison, like I was trying to shut that program down. That's the last thing I was trying to do. I always advocated for sign language in prison, but certified interpreters for important things.
Yeah.
And they would never do it. And so they got sued, and they got sued, and they got sued, and they got sued. And it just showed me how powerful that state agency is. Because when you think about this, these big national organizations that I just named fighting the Department of Corrections with ACLUs and Southern Poverty Law Center attorneys and different things like that, and they're not making any headway. Yeah. That just lets me know how powerful these state agencies are. Yeah. And they're knowingly and willingly breaking ADA law, violating ADA law and stuff like that. And they go scot-free.
Oh, it's powerful in this state.
I know.
Louisiana.
I figured it out. After years and years of fighting, I finally realized, because I was losing myself in that fight. I was so angry about it. And I realized, like, this is bigger than me. I'll always stand up for what's right, and I'll always advocate for that. But, like, I lost myself in that process. For years, I worked with different organizations trying to make that happen for them guys. And it's like this is about how far I got.
Yeah, like throwing rocks into the ocean.
Yeah,
it's like
man, it was a crazy. Like, that was when I really understood how thick and powerful corrections is as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it absolutely is a business.
They're like underground too. It's real hush hush. It's not like an Amazon or anything. We're not in the spotlight. They're like, bro, we don't do that around here, dude. Yeah. People don't talk about us that much.
But anyways, my rant is over with. That took me on a spin.
It was a good one though.
Well, look. So how many years did you do?
28 years and 9 months.
Jesus, my heart hurts.
How many you do?
5.
He did the 5 years.
Yeah, I did what you was supposed to do, dog.
That's why I laughed whenever you said COVID, but he was like, "Nah, I just missed COVID." Like, shit, he was in there.
Yeah. 28 years, man. That's a long time, dude. So tell me, like, at what point did you start gaining hope that you? Well, let me ask this question, because a lot of our audience always likes to hear this, like, and you can answer it however you want. It means no difference to me. I get it. But, like, did you ever come to a place of remorse for what you did, or anything, any type of realization about the reason that you were in prison?
Initially on my own, no. But after I came home and I got married, and my wife and I, we talk about everything.
Mm-hmm. I can tell.
Right.
Y'all are Bonnie and Clyde.
And I was like, she asked me, she said, are you sorry for what you did? I said, hell no. No, I'm serious.
Right.
Hell no.
In mindset of your mother. I get it, yeah.
And she was instrumental in me looking at the whole situation that I did different, right? And so, anything short of a person trying to take your life or the life of, somebody, another life,
mm-hmm.
we don't have the right to take nobody's life, period.
Valid.
And so that's something that she helped me with. I struggled with it for a long time. I lied to a lot of people.
Saying you did, but yeah, I get you gotta do what you gotta do cried, to get out, bro.
I had tears coming out of my eyes and everything.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate your honesty on that too.
Yeah.
Deep down in my heart.
Nah.
But now I realize what I did was absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Did he ever have any like family that tried to come to court or anything like that? Or
He had a cousin that testified against me.
yeah.
But when I went on the parole board, none of his family wanted
No
to.
victim opposition.
None.
That always works out in your favor too, especially when you're going. So let me ask you a question: with life without parole, did the parole project help you, or how? What happened?
I was a juvenile.
Oh, you got sentenced as a juvie.
Yeah, he was 17.
So you fell under the same thing Andrew fell under.
Yeah.
Was it the Montgomery Miller?
Yeah, there's a few folks.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know you. I didn't know that was you.
Yep.
I didn't know you fell under that. So, damn, they gave you life as a juvenile.
Did they just surprise that news on you, or were you following like the evolution
yeah.
of it going?
Well, I worked in the law library too for 10
figured
years.
that.
Right.
Hey, whatever happened? I don't mean to.
No,
do.
you're
What's
good,
up
man.
with Hooks?
That's her boy. That's her boy.
That's my boy too. I like Lil Hook, man.
Hooks wrote me this morning, man.
What's up with him?
So he is waiting on.
Hooks
a
is
lawyer.
another guy that was in the sign language program.
What's
with
up,
us.
Hooks? If you're listening,
You gonna
He
hear it
ain't
one
gonna
day.
Yeah, so he
That's
has
a
some-
law librarian studying
Oh, yeah.
son of a gun. But go ahead. What,
That's who
I
did my
figured
case,
that.
man.
well, so is he coming home or what's up?
He's trying. He's in the process.
Hooks' parents are deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he learned sign language, and he got involved. But and I remember they used to come up to hunt whenever we would go to hunt,
Yeah.
and they would come say. But what's the deal with him?
Yeah, he has some lawyers that's helping him right now.
Good. So Hooks helped you get file for eligibility on Montgomery versus Miller.
Right, because remember, and to answer your question, when Miller was announced, when Miller was announced, I was on lockdown again.
You wouldn't. No way.
Yeah, I was on
Just
lockdown
joking.
again. And this time I went on the rodeo grounds and got drunk and
It happens, bro.
slapped the guy.
It happens, bro.
And so I was sitting in a cell, man, and I remember watching it on the news.
it's like Mardi Gras. You know what I mean? If my man keeps telling like it's just like Mardi Gras. I'm home.
Anyway, so you went to lockdown. What happened?
Yeah, I was sitting in the cell, and it came on the news that that if you was under the age of 18 at the time of your crime, that the state had to give you a meaningful opportunity for release. And when I seen that on the 12 o'clock news, man, tears just started coming out of my eyes.
I bet.
Yeah.
What is
I
that?
bet.
2018? When was
No,
that?
that was 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when they started doing it.
Right.
So
So
it
you've
took
had
a
some
It
time
took
in
from
there too.
2012 all the way to Andrew.
16
Yeah.
or
I think it's
four- no.
18.
No, it took longer than that.
Andrew been home a long time.
Okay.
Andrew been home since 2016, I think.
Right.
So he was the first.
He was
one.
the first one.
So and even the guy that the bill was for, Montgomery, he didn't even get out
He
until
got out after me.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? But anyways, so in 2012, you found out. Now did Hooks start helping you write?
Yeah, I was on lockdown, so Hooks filed everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
He would file it, send it back there to
What was the process? What'd you have to do?
just file it in court.
Like that to
Like a
go back
post-conviction.
for reconsideration?
No, it was a post conviction. So what they did, they was bringing you back to court, reviewing your record to see whether or not you was the worst of the worst.
Okay.
And so they was looking at the circumstances of your crime, and it was all up on the district attorney whether they wanted to seek a hearing to proceed to give you life without parole, because there's still some juveniles who can get life without parole in the state.
All right. What constitutes that?
Your crime have to be so heinous that it would shock the conscious.
Okay.
Like Wild Boy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Mhm. Like you ate your family member. or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
Hooks filed everything. So I wound up going back on court order, and they still postponed it. Then they come back and say that it wasn't retroactive. Remember that? They said it wasn't retroactive.
Oh, I do remember that. So they was trying to say everybody it was perspective or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you getting this to Hooks if you're in?
Hooks be coming on the line.
So
He
like
came
you're-
down the line when you was in lockdown. He come see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you're
So whenever you're an inmate chaplain or an inmate
counsel.
which is paralegal.
Yeah.
And these guys have paralegal certifications. Mind you. These aren't just dudes who like studied,
They just walk around with the book like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Now Chris did. Chris wasn't, but Chris he got himself out of prison, so he's different. But these guys
Chris
have
be dicking them.
Chris be dicking them.
Yeah.
These guys have paralegal certification. They went through the program and stuff because they offer that there. But so Hooks is a skilled. He's an attorney, essentially without the bar.
Yeah.
He's helped a lot of people go home too. But
You just got Frank Man out. You remember Frank Man?
Frank Man,
Frank Man was kind of heavy set guy. He was in the sign language. He probably got it after you left.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
so. I think I remember him, but I'd have to see his face.
Yeah.
I know Ron just came home.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get with him.
So the chosen
shout out
few
Ron.
that have like the certification and education,
Chaplains
they're able
who've
to
been
walk
through the
halls.
seminary, who are chaplains at the prison, inmate council, a couple other distinguished classification, and they can go into lockdown and see these guys and either bring the word to them, or bring them legal counsel or the library, whatever, So that's how you were getting your stuff filed.
Yeah, that's how I would get it filed. Hooks will come, he'll do it, and then he'll bring it to me. I'll sign it. He'll mail it out.
You had to read it. It was official.
I never read it.
It's like
he could have been.
an
He could
iPhone
have been
update.
right. He could have been writing. Look, I want to stay in prison the rest of my life. I never read it.
Luckily, he's got integrity.
Yeah.
So how many years did you fight getting that opportunity?
From 2012 to 2020, 8 years. It took me 8 years from the time that it came out.
What was the holdup?
Well, first they were saying that it wasn't retroactive.
So it became retroactive in 16.
Yeah, right.
That's when Andy got his shot.
Right.
So then why? So still, why did it take 4 more years?
No,
to get
Andy got out before they even dealt with that because he was the first one to get out. He was the first one to get out. He didn't even go on a parole board. He went back and got resentenced.
Under that?
Yeah. Because
So
he was a juvenile. What they were doing, they did this for several people, but Andrew was the first one. He went back and the judge looked at the law and said, all right, Miller said that I should give you an opportunity for release. So he resentenced him to 21
And what
years.
they mean by that is it's a Supreme Court ruling, right?
Right.
Miller versus and the judge looks at the Miller case and the ruling on that and makes a decision on behalf of the people that are impacted by that case that have been sentenced in the state of Louisiana. So anyway, finish yours.
Yeah, and so once they said that it wasn't retroactive, that was a whole fight. Then once Montgomery come out, Montgomery made it retroactive. Mm-hmm. When Montgomery come out.
So it was Miller first, then Montgomery versus Miller.
No, Montgomery versus the state of Louisiana.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah. And so once they made it retroactive, but now I got a write-up for being drunk.
Yeah.
So now I have to wait and bid my time. It was like playing chess.
How long you had to wait right up free?
I had like 2 years. I had like a little over 2 years.
Yeah, that's usually the typical waiting period.
Yeah.
So you got two. So in 2018, you got you made 2 years in 2018.
No, I made 2 years in 2020.
Oh, okay. So from 2018 to 2020, so you stayed right out free, and then you applied, and they gave you a hearing.
They gave me a hearing.
So how'd that go?
Oh, it was awesome. It was
I bet.
awesome.
I can tell.
And it was primarily the work that I did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With the
Hospice,
and the
sign
deaf
language, all
guys.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that work. Because they had took the whole hospice program and put it in the dormitory. So now these guys are sleeping with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, you're in the dorm with the.
I was the coordinator.
Okay.
I
Tell
ran
them
it
what your responsibilities were.
to make sure all the other people who take care of these guys do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To make sure the guys are cleaned and fed. It's to bring the food to the dormitory.
And there's a lot of training that goes into this. Like they don't just send dudes in the dorm. Hey, go take care of John Doe. They go through training. They get certified to do all this work. No different than a CPA. I mean, a CNA, MA, all that. It's a program. They teach them. They train them. They give them all these certifications so that they can do this stuff. Which is why I advocate for people to be able to come home and get jobs in the same field that they were doing in there.
Right.
But so, anyways, he had a nice resume.
Yep. That's what did it.
And
Yeah.
and God, yeah, the most important part. So, but I also want to say this for the viewers, and we got to wrap up in a second. Like, I know you hear Ronald talk about he got drunk at the rodeo and slapped somebody. And somebody, well, he's in prison. He shouldn't be. Well, people make mistakes on the outside no different than they make mistakes on the inside. The mistakes that people make on the inside are actually less than the mistakes that people make on the outside. The only difference is the microscope is under these guys that are on the inside, and the microscope's not always out.
I've gotten drunk and slapped so many people on the outside.
Exactly.
And I never got put in.
Exactly. Period. So don't judge people that are incarcerated because they also make mistakes. You know what I mean? The man grew up in prison, and while there's been a whole lot of transformation, things happen.
Yeah,
and some people need to be slapped. Like I believe today, I got people that I know need to be slapped and ever given the opportunity, and where I think I might not go to jail for it, I would do it.
It's a good learning opportunity too, because a lot of times those people that need to be slapped, they're like,
you just gotta be weary of the ones that you know aren't built like that, and they'll call the cops. So then you got a whole nother problem on your hands.
Now you gotta take their phone.
The people, people always like I tell people all the time, like with my kids, I'll send my kids to school to fight. If somebody's messing with, like, I'm not gonna ever tell my kids go start a fight. I don't condone bullying, but if somebody's messing with my kids, I'm going to send them to school to beat somebody up, and I'll wait on the phone call, and I'll come pick them up proudly and take them out to get a steak dinner. I've done that before with my oldest son. Like, I condone that because sometimes some people only learn with a fist or a slap.
Yep.
That man is his best friend now.
He is. He's my best friend now.
See, y'all, you slapped and shook hands.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
My best friend.
Shout out.
Was this at the Angola rodeo? Like, was every?
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Yeah. So okay. So say that's what's happening. If anybody's never gone to Angola rodeo, you get more than your money's worth. Okay.
Yeah.
Sign up now.
You see guys riding bulls and getting slapped.
What's this guy doing? Is he part of the show? Oh.
Anyways, so you got released in 22. Well, tell me how the parole hearing was.
Yeah, man. The warden.
Who was the warden at the time?
Vanoy.
He's not there anymore. No. Good dude though.
Yeah, he is, man.
Yeah.
The warden told the parole board, the stuff that this guy do, I couldn't do it. I'm not gonna wipe nobody, but I'm just not gonna do it, right? And he was just explaining all of the stuff that we did in the program, even with the deaf guys. And so he said, if there's anybody that I can say deserve to be released, it's this gentleman right here.
And you were doing all that before?
Yeah, I was doing that before I even was eligible for parole.
Yeah. So
so it wasn't like, I got parole eligibility. Let me do all this. Yeah,
we
you've been doing
even
it.
have parole at that time.
Yeah. So I mean, so you got released. How'd it feel?
Man,
I can only imagine who came and picked you up.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
Dang, I'm surprised.
it was the parole project.
Oh, Andrew and them. Okay, because they have to.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So you got released in what month of 2020?
January.
January. Fresh new year.
Yeah, right before all the shit hit the fan too.
Right.
So like you get out of prison, and all of a sudden lockdown.
I got out of prison. I called Scott. Scott hooked me up,
Yeah.
and I had a little gig.
Yeah,
Then
I
they
got
shut all
him
the
some
schools down.
sign language interpreting gig.
Yeah. Then they shut the schools down.
I know, man. That was unfortunate for a lot of people, dude. A lot of people lost a lot of work. So let me ask you this. What was your biggest challenge coming home?
Being able to be around a lot of people, like being in a crowd. I couldn't handle it.
He didn't like the quiet.
I didn't quiet. Like when I was at the house in Baton Rouge, I used to sleep with a knife.
He said it was too quiet.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So like I guess you're always like hearing something, whether it's like the lights, just the echoes of just something, and then now you're just like.
My wife got up this morning at 2:30 to go to work. When she left the house, I started hearing stuff in the backyard still. But I look at the cameras, but I'm not as paranoid as I was. I've been home like 3 years, almost 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. But I'm not as paranoid. But I still have a little of it.
Dude,
And he used to always get up for count.
you still got up for count?
I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did you sit at the end of the bed?
I sit on the side. I'm serious.
Tell everybody on the camera about count. I mean, a lot of people might know, but tell them about why what they do and why you got to be counted.
Yeah, well, you know, people get happy feet. They will run off, and so to prevent that,
So for 28 years, this man participated in count every single day.
you have to sit up. You have to sit on your bed facing the front to be counted.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's an old habit. It's hard to die.
I bet.
So are you still sitting up for counting? You broke that?
I kind of broke it, but I still wake up early. Not as early as I used to.
Yeah.
But when I get up, I still sit on the side of the bed for a little while because if I jump straight,
Wait
up,
on Sarge to come in. Count. Ciao. Man, that's crazy. So tell everybody what you're doing today.
Well, I work for the city of Alexandria.
Dang, what you doing?
I'm a carpenter.
Uh-oh.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a carpenter, and every time I get me a gig with the sign language, I do that as well.
Yeah, he also is a freelance sign language interpreter.
Yep.
Glad to see that because, man, when I first came home, it was kind of taboo to be a convicted felon, being able to interpret and stuff like that. But that kind of died down after some years of just resistance, you know. Yeah. And I always am glad to see other guys coming home, guys or girls, coming home and doing that because, like I said earlier, if you're good enough to do it there, you should be able to do it out here. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I'm a firm believer in that, and I stand on that till the day that I die. But I'm proud of you, and we're happy to see you out here, and we continue to see you. And I always, I see y'all's pictures every day, so I love them. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you too, man. I appreciate the work you're doing. I even appreciate the platform that you set for us.
Yeah.
Right, because I can just imagine when you came out, you was probably the first person to come out of the program who took the skill on the road. Yeah. And so I know that you struggled with a lot of stuff getting your foot in the door. And so what it did, it made it easier for us. Yeah. Or people like myself. Yeah.
It was my pleasure, man.
That's I appreciate you, man.
Well, look, we appreciate you coming on. We're going to have you back eventually, and y'all have a safe trip to Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
What y'all going to do?
We're going to graduation.
Graduation, that's right. Your nephew?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And we appreciate you coming, too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Until next time.